What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in with some Destiny 2 Black Armory content. So we are going to talk about new exotics in the game, we have some brand new details about exotic quests coming up, new lore about Ada 1 and her family exotic, we're going to talk about the Master Forge Bergusia and its location, which has now been found, the Izanami Forge is of course opening next week, and we have new quest details for that, new info on the Last Wish's 15th Wish, Forsaken's exotic veteran bundle, updates, changes and warnings, and we're also going to talk about the Last Word quest. We've got some new details about some of the requirements for that quest as well. First up though, my sponsor Now Drinks has a new raspberry and blueberry flavor available in a limited run right now, so you guys can actually get early access in the store. Of course, Now Drinks are the healthy option for folks who want improved focus in gaming. You can save a bunch on the new flavor if you follow the link in the description below. You can also vote for this flavor to remain if you enjoy it, so if you're interested, I recommend you check out the link in the description. But now let's get into the content. So first up, you are seeing some gameplay of the Anarchy. This is the new raid exotic in the Scourge of the Past raid. It's a random drop when you complete the raid. I've got to say a massive thanks to So Shafty for letting me try this thing out on his account. Of course, it's a pretty interesting weapon. It fires arc traps, and the grenades actually stick to surfaces and chain arc damage between all of the mines. So they do have a radius of just a few feet, but you can kind of stick them to walls, and as enemies pass through them, of course, they take a bunch of damage, so you can use it to actually DPS a boss or something, fire a bunch of chains that'll run through the boss, or as a kind of crowd control element. It's certainly a pretty fun weapon. It's capable of doing a fair amount of DPS, especially if you've got a ton of them used together, but of course you can be pretty trolly in PvP, so it's definitely a somewhat unique weapon, and it takes a little bit of practice to kind of get good with it. But I just thought I'd share some of that gameplay with you guys. Thanks again to So Shafty for letting me try this thing out. But now let's talk about other exotic stuff coming up in Black Armory. So of course we do have the mystery box quest. This is something we've had for a little while, but this one is going to be a very long form quest, and it now appears that there could be other quests actually associated with it that trigger during the quest itself. So at some point we will get a decryption device. Presumably this is after we've used all 4 of the keys required to open the box, and Ada 1 will actually give us a new Black Armory weapon frame for an unidentified weapon. But from what we can tell, another quest, a legendary quest, will actually kick off during the time that we're completing the lock and key quest. So it'll be the Lost Souvenir. It starts off with a mysterious datapad, and there'll be some actual quest objectives there, but ultimately it will open and reveal an obsidian accelerator. So this is a pretty interesting device, and on there, written in French, it actually says, remember who you are. There'll be some kind of a quest here to upgrade the obsidian accelerator, and it will become the obsidian crystal. And this is where it seems to link back to the lock and key quest. So the final step right here says this isn't a gun, but a charged Hyperion core that, according to the Black Armory papers, is made to enhance a weapon very dear to Ada 1. She assembles it, and this weapon is now a key to the last secret that the Black Armory holds. So pretty interesting hint there. A weapon very dear to Ada 1 could potentially be the sniper rifle. Of course, this is the weapon we've seen her holding quite a bit, and there's actually reference to Ada 1 using a sniper in some of the lore from the Black Armory pages itself. So spoiler alert, this is a letter from Ada's mother, and it says, you promised you would leave me, and you did, but you never said how far you would go, did you? You stayed close enough to watch through your scope. As the man took aim at my head, I heard the shot and assumed I was dead, but it was him who was dead, not me. You were so far that none of us knew where to look. The second man winged up to me with one of our own weapons. He began to gloat about that, but another round from you shut him up. 2 more thunderous shots, and their drones were as dead as they were. As I saw the glare from your scope disappear, I knew that you were heading away. I know you must feel guilty, but don't. It was I who wronged you. So that's actually a bit of a reference right there to Ada 1 using some kind of sniper. So it definitely seems that this could link to the Izanagi's burden. But also in this lore tab right here, we learn that Ada 1's actual name is Adelaide, and she was born a second time in the Niobe Labs, which is pretty interesting. And ultimately we learn that the character writing this letter is Henriette Mayrin. So Ada 1's mother is Henriette Mayrin of the Mayrin house, and Mayrin is the French family associated with Black Armory, and so there is a direct tie between Le Monarque and the Mayrin family. And we do also see the butterfly icon, which is associated with this family, on Le Monarque, so there's potential that this could be the weapon that's dear to Ada's heart, but honestly I'm going to guess it's the sniper rifle, and we'll probably see Le Monarque dropped at some point before that. But another interesting thing, that final quest step says this weapon is now a key to the last secret in Black Armory. So whatever this weapon is that we get, whether it's Le Monarque, Izanagi's burden, it seems that it will actually be used to uncover the final secret in Black Armory, which could lead us onto another exotic quest or any number of things at this point. So that's certainly pretty interesting, guys, and I will keep you posted on the progress. But we've spoken a little bit about the Bergusia Forge in the European Dead Zone. There's a string of text linked to this. Guardians have discovered the Bergusia Forge. New Black Armory frames and activities await. You can now bring any frames into Bergusia to claim their reward. So it looks like the Bergusia Forge is going to be kind of the master forge. Any frame that you have, you'll be able to actually go there and complete, which is pretty interesting. And there's an image you can see right here. This is from Phoenix Ride on Reddit, but it looks like they've actually located Bergusia and Niobe Labs in the European Dead Zone. And it's actually next to the Sojourner camp that you'll see on the map in EDZ, but exactly how we'll actually enter it legitimately, we don't know just yet. I had previously spoken about the Last Word quest. This one's going to be dropping at the end of January. There'll actually be a lot of sections in here that are linked to Dark Hive weapons. So we'll have to defeat an enemy called Enkar, the Hive Weapon Master, and that'll be just one of the steps as we get the Last Word back. But there are also some other steps right here, some objective requirements, including collecting etched crystals from Lost Sector wanted escapees, earning Avenger and Revenge medals in the Crucible, defeating Hive with precision damage to collect larvae, sacrificing Hive bosses summoned in Witches' rituals, and then finally, hunting Enkar himself. So it sounds like this quest could be a little bit lengthy, definitely a few objectives to complete there. You may be wondering why there are so many objectives to defeat Hive and stuff like that, but from what we can tell, it kind of looks like Shin Malphur may be sort of tricking the Drifter. Initially, the Drifter actually wants us to go out and find these Hive because he believes that it's linked to the Weapons of Sorrow, but it looks like there will be some kind of interesting twist there, where it's actually Shin Malphur that is initiating all of this, and ultimately we're seeing a kind of behind-the-scenes battle going on between Shin and the Drifter, albeit a very distant one. So obviously lots of lore stuff there. It's going to be very interesting, and will absolutely be linked to the future content that we're going to get in the game. But as to when we're finally going to get a Black Armory exotic, it certainly seems likely that once we have the Izanami Forge unlocked, we'll possibly receive another weapon that can read glyph puzzles in the game, and that could mean we could potentially activate the third beacon on the European Dead Zone map. And of course I've covered those emblems and the secrets on that map before, but considering we'll now have accessed all of the known forges, it seems that next week's forge will definitely be the tipping point onto a bunch of other secrets. We will, however, have to unlock the next forge, and it will be somewhat similar to Gofanon on Nessus, and the quest for that is called Rekindle the Flames. You can see some of the steps right there. There will, however, be a bunch of other steps where we're completing lost sectors and missions somewhat similar to the Gofanon quest. Now though, let's move on and talk about Wish 15. So Roy Awesome on Reddit pointed out that there are some audio files from Lord Shaxx which appear to be linked to Wish 15 itself. So we can see on screen a bunch of different lines. These are lines that Shaxx actually reads, and basically this is Shaxx narrating the raid, much like many of the other characters with different wishes. So essentially we now know what Wish 15 is, or at least this is what it looks like it's going to be. However, we don't know how the wish is supposed to be legitimately triggered inside of the raid. Some folks are speculating we're going to see Lord Shaxx in Morosov's Ascendant Realm soon, so maybe that could be linked to this, but we'll have to wait and find out. Next though, let's talk about some things coming next week. So firstly, Veterans of the Hunt bundle. Once update 2.1.3 has dropped next week, players should expect to receive this package later in the day. So essentially on next week's reset on Tuesday, this is when Veterans of the Hunt will come into the game, but it won't necessarily be there immediately on the reset, so do just bear that in mind. If you are eligible for this though, it will become available on Tuesday, and of course we can see the exotic emotes and stuff right there. So I'll keep you guys posted on the reset. Now though, something to mention right here, there is a bit of a cheese that some folks have been using in the Scourge of the Past raid. So it is the final boss fight, and essentially in this fight you have to charge different plates so that you can spawn Drake tanks in, and those are what you actually use to take the boss's shield off. However, players accidentally discovered that you can hold one of the relics until it times out, and when it times out, it actually blows the player up. If you're on top of the raid boss at the time that this happens, it will actually count as the detonation that you'd normally see from a Drake tank, and what happens is the boss goes into the DPS phase. So you're basically skipping a bunch of the encounter mechanics for the first half of that fight to get straight into DPS. Now people are going to start talking about this more and more. I haven't actually done it, so you're not seeing it right here. This is from a Reddit post from L2 Matador, but it's a pretty inconsistent way to attempt to cheese this, because the boss, of course, does a ton of damage. You have to wait until the relic you're holding is about to blow up and then approach the boss. And from people that I've heard are doing this, it's very, very hit and miss. So honestly, if you're in there, you're capable of killing the berserkers to get the relics in the first place, you may as well just run the actual fight. So while it is a cheese, it's a pretty silly and inconsistent one. I still hope that Bungie will fix it personally, but I'm not very convinced as to how useful it actually is. Let me know your thoughts on it down below though. Pretty intriguing stuff. A few other roundups right here. Some folks were asking about skill-based matchmaking. Have there been any changes? Cosmo said there have been no changes to quick play matchmaking. And I have seen this conversation come up quite a bit over the past couple of weeks. A lot of folks have been saying, have they turned skill-based matchmaking back on or something? And obviously that is Bungie's reply. And this does tend to be the case. Sometimes you do notice changes, if the population changes or something like that. We've just come out of Forsaken, where there are a ton of new players playing the game. And obviously at a time like this, the game is filled much more with the more hardcore, long-term players of the game. So maybe that has something to do with it. Let me know your experiences down below. Bungie Help did say, unclaimed Dawning Triumph will be lost when the event ends. So essentially make sure you claim any triumphs that you want to get done before the 1st of January. There is also that warning as well, not to hold on to multiple weapon frames, especially if one weapon frame requires the EDZ Forge, for example, and another requires Nessus. They can actually end up vanishing. Essentially, you're best to just pick up one frame, complete it, then pick up another frame. But for today, guys, that is going to summarize the video. So let me know your thoughts on any of this stuff down below, that new raid exotic, how you think we'll finally acquire the first exotic in Black Armory. I personally think it's going to happen next week. That seems very likely at this point, but it is anybody's guess, so I'd love to hear your thoughts below. But if you have enjoyed this video, a like is very much appreciated below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more D2 content. Also, be sure to check out my sponsor Now Drinks with that new flavor in the store if you're interested. They do have some pretty cool stuff, but as always, I appreciate you watching, guys, and I will catch you very soon.